Hi, I'm Sara Berkai and I run Ambessa and we design tools for tomorrow's innovators. Thank you for being here. Before I start, I want to ask, what do you think possibly ties all these people together? That's Thomas Edison to Lonnie Johnson to Grace Hopper, and they've all shaped our world. So what unites them is early exposure to tinkering. They all had accounts of, in their childhood, building with their hands, whether that was disassembling alarm clocks or garage experiments. And so much research shows the importance of building with your hands. For context, I did my master's in child development at the University of Oxford, studying this in particular, and wrote my thesis on exposure to tinkering. And some of you might be familiar with this Mark Andreessen post, but the reason why this is important is because the future demands creators and builders. And this starts at an early age, particularly between the ages of 8 to 14, which is when children make perceptions of what they can do later on. Just skip there, but it's particularly important in the US as well, as we're missing out on millions of innovators. And that's where Ambessa comes in. So we design educational kits that kids can build with their hands. I'm wearing our DIY flashlight that children assemble the circuit from scratch and then use it afterwards. Thank you. Sorry. There we go. So we launched the flashlight on Kickstarter last year, and it was backed by over 600 parents and the CEO of Kickstarter himself. We've shipped it across 32 countries, and to date, we've sold 200,000 now. We've been featured in Fast Company, Forbes, and Financial Times, and won a bunch of awards. So to Archie's point about doing a lot with very little, we only raised £150,000 to do this, and we haven't spent anything on marketing to date. Now, as a godmother to 5 children and with experience of teaching coding to kids before, I think where we differentiate is that we're building tools versus toys. So we make this flashlight and kids can use it for decades onwards. It's modular and all the components can be replaced. These are all kits that I've taught with and personally love, but we want to think of like IKEA for education, something that kids can use as a daily tool in their bedroom. And what this looks like is that kids have asked us for walkie-talkies, radios, flashlights, and our customers have also asked us to build a platform to do this, so to share where different kids are building kits and also what they're building, so they're hardware and software projects, sort of like a GitHub for kids. And what I want to do beyond hardware and software is have a tool that children can use every day to build, alongside whether that's Khan Academy or Google. And our aim really is to reach every child's bedroom. And to do that, we sell direct to consumers, but also to schools and partnerships as well. Parents and grandparents have sent us photos and videos of kids using the kits across the world, and feedback as well with that. And the STEM toy market in particular is growing, so it's valued at 47 billion. We've sold to hundreds of thousands of customers globally, but 80% of our customers come from the US in particular, specifically New York and California. But to reach every child's bedroom, I think we should scale through B2B. So during the BK Accelerator, we partnered with coding clubs, and we now have an order from the Scouts organization in the UK for 10,000 kits, so that's 300,000 in revenue. So this is an example of how we would scale B2B, but also in terms of our profit margins, we sell these kits at roughly just under $50 and have a 60% margin. Before I close, some context as to why I get out of bed and work on this in particular is that I'm a big believer that unrealized potential is a net loss for humanity. And I think myself and many of us in the room are examples of this. I was born in Sudan, I'm from Eritrea. I was the first to go to university in my family, grew up in London, and I have 53 first cousins, my dad and I counted. The majority are refugee children out of school, who are brilliant, but just do not have the same opportunities that we do. I've worked in charity before, and I'm also a big believer that for-profit models can address a lot of the social issues that we face. For example, 250 million children are out of school. So we have a one-for-one model. For every flashlight that we sell, or for every kit that we sell, a refugee child out of school receives one for free. And that's baked into our 60% margin. We have the fortune of working with these amazing charities, from Terre des Hommes to Project Play in Calais, And I've personally visited and worked with many of these refugee children from France to Hungary to Ethiopia later this year. I'm very lucky to do this with a team that's also passionate about education inequality and how to do this at scale. So, in the spirit of Archie's comment earlier about asks, if anyone knows anyone who works in schools or museums or family offices, please do speak to us. If anyone has children or cousins that are 8 years old and above, I have some samples of the DIY flashlight, and it is first come, first served, so please see me at the back. And yeah, if you think you can help shape the future of education with us, I'd love to meet you. And thank you for your time.
Thanks so much, Sarah.
Oh, sorry.
We're going to have 5 minutes of Q&A. If anyone has any questions, I have a mic here. Just raise your hand and I'll bring a mic over to you to ask Sarah any questions.
Hi.
Where are you manufacturing the products?
So we manufacture, originally it was 3D printing in my bedroom at Oxford, and then to scale we manufacture in Shenzhen in China. So we partnered with Pentagram to do this, and we went to Shenzhen last year. We actually filmed, and I'm glad you asked this, we actually filmed a documentary about the manufacturing experience, and we're showcasing this at the Design Museum in London next week. And we'll put it on our website as well. So it's a 1-hour documentary about what it was like to build. It takes, I can show you later at the back, but there are so many different components at 7 factories to build this kit. Yeah. Go on. Yeah.
Why now? I mean, people DIY kits are like as old as.
I think from my experience of teaching kids to code and being paid a lot by parents to teach kids to code, there seems to be a focus as to, and for my education system at least this, of memorizing things and not really understanding the first principles approach as to how things were made. Many of us have phones but don't know how it works, or computers but don't know what they look like inside. I think so much of, going back to Mark Andreessen's It's Time to Build, so much of that starts at a young age. It's self-efficacy, so your perception and your ability to pursue something, and agency that we need to foster at a young age. We can't talk about the things that we need as society to change without raising kids that think that they can even address the problems later on. So much of that is early on tinkering. So when kids are building the flashlight, they say, I'm an engineer now. I'm not as invested as to whether they go on to become engineers. It's more that they know that they can if they want to. And that's what I think we're missing, at least in our education system today. So I know we have STEM toy competitors, and I love them all, but I think our biggest competition is like education system, the way we're teaching, and also on the refugee side, the one-for-one model, encouraging kids everywhere to build is the biggest thing. Yeah, thank you. Good question.
I think you have time for one more question if there's any. If not, I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
How financially sustainable is the one-for-one model, and how much more money could you make if you didn't have that? Ergo, why are you doing the one-for-one model? So
our margins are at 60%. The one-for-one model is baked into what we do in the beginning. We could make more, but it's the reason why our team get out of bed. It's the impact that we love. What I think is more interesting is I ask all our customers, and I call them up and say, what made you buy our kit? Especially because we didn't spend anything on marketing. And they say, I want my kids to be Elon Musk. Not one parent has said that they bought our kit because of the one-for-one or the social impact, which I actually think is interesting, because it's like, oh, they're buying it just for the STEM skills, and then we do the one-for-one behind the scenes. I think that we can be as impactful if we act like a for-profit business and scale that way.
Let's all give it up for Sarah. Thank you so much.